Business around town, we're going to start with that, look at the headlines that are trending in the world of business, look at it with an analyst, and then we'll go to a second segment of the program, which is how I make money. We get to interact with entrepreneurs, ask them how they make money, learn a thing or two, so that at the end of the day, we can make money too. My name is Mary Onaife Edebi, and welcome to Business Around Town. Drum roll. Okay, this morning I have with me the principal partner, Woodridge and Scott Consulting. He's also a business analyst. His name is Segun Shokpita. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mary. You got it right.
Oh, thank you. A lot of practice.
Yeah.
Okay, now to the stories trending in business. I'll take all of them first, and then we will get into it quickly. Now, we'll start with this one. We already know what is happening concerning the new Naira notes. We see here from this day, it says, breaking, Buhari approves 10 days extension of the old notes. That's the headline here. And also another one here, also making rounds, is Nigerians turn to Niger used cars as Tokumbo car prices surge. That is one other headline here. And from the Punch newspaper, imported goods killing local production, says presidency. How true is this? And finally, CBN raises monetary policy rate to 17.5%. Now, these are some of the headlines we'll be looking at right now. Now to the trending one, which is the extension of the new Naira notes to adding more 10 days and also 1 week, making it on the 17th. So after on the 10th of February, that's when it's going to expire, but you still have a grace of 1 week for you to go to the banks and ensure that you give out the old notes that you have, because after on the 17th, nobody's going to take the old Naira notes again. But I didn't see this comment. I didn't see it. No, I was here on Friday announcing to people with so much confidence that I don't think there's going to be extension. Oh, please try and do away with your old notes. But yeah. I woke up to the news that it's been extended. But the interesting parts that I want us to look into this morning is that the CBN governor has revealed that 1.9 trillion worth of the Naira notes have been returned to the bank so far, with 500 billion still outside the banking vault. So it means this new Naira note is working. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, look, like I have continued to say since this started in October, this is a very, very good initiative. It's long overdue. Glad that we're making headway. Glad that the CBN has mopped up as much as they have, and I'm very, very happy that they've extended. I think they should have extended by a bit more, but it's a good thing that they have at all. And I knew without a doubt, 100% certainty that they would extend.
You
yes,
did?
Yes, I did, and I said it on air, for a very simple and obvious reason. If on January 31st, please bear in mind, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So by the 1st of February, day after tomorrow, Wednesday, the old notes would have ceased to be legal tender, which means nobody will be able to collect it in transactions, but the new notes were nowhere to be found. The economy would have collapsed. Transactions would have ceased, as at least cash transactions would have ceased. And cash transactions at the bottom of the pyramid for low value transactions is still predominant. So am I going to use a POS card to pay for the bus ride, the conductor? Am I going to transfer to him? So all of a sudden you can't take a bus ride. So it was obvious that they would have had to extend. Why they didn't see it in the first place is what is a bit worrying for me. I think there's a bit too much knee-jerk reactions in the process of policy implementation by our just general government agencies, in general.
But if you want to look at the Naira notes, the new one in circulation before they take out the old one, the extension, just 17 days, it's not. Is that enough?
It's not. I agree with you. It's not. But it's better than nothing. And we have to bear in mind, the policy had two objectives. One was to bring money back into the banking system. Where was all that cash? the cash, like we have I think the CBN, the statistics was 3.7 trillion naira cash in circulation.
3.23 trillion in circulation.
In circulation, of which over like 2 trillion, let me just approximate,
2.7
was outside of the banking system. That was colossal, right? Where was all that money? It was in people's sockaways. It was in people's wardrobes. Some people stashed them in rooms in their house. Why? Corruption and political gamesmanship.
Yeah.
So it was critical leading up to this election that was checkmated to some degree, so that when you do have the elections, it speaks the will of the people rather than votes being bought.
But why wait till the elections? This thing speaks volume. Some people already saying that we've lost confidence with CBN because you told us there's not going to be extension. You were doing this, and now you were saying there's an extension. It's like you don't know what you're doing.
I agree. I mean, the CBN has shown, as usual, to be honest, I'm sorry to say, as usual.
And it's like they are a bit tinted with politics.
Yes. I mean,
and they're supposed to be an independent...
They're not a bit tinted with politics, Mary. The CBN today, their position is actually untenable because the head of the CBN, the governor, is a politician. It's not hidden.
Which is not supposed to be so.
He went to court to demand that his right to contest the presidency should be avowed. So how can the CBN governor be contesting it's illegal? So the fact that he's even still in office is a bit shocking.
And no, that's why we have the back and forth. The withdrawal limit was okay. We're doing politics.
There was too much politics involved in the whole thing because and that's the importance of having an independent, non-political CBN governor. Because when you make policy pronouncements, people need to know that it's because of the common good, not because of some partisan consideration. So his position is really untenable. But this is Nigeria. We're used to these things. The CBN has really, really not painted themselves in glory with the implementation of this policy, as with so many other things they've done. There's, like I said earlier, too much reactionary approach to their policy implementation.
And this extension does not exonerate them.
It doesn't.
Extending it doesn't.
In fact, it's an indictment. It means that they didn't do their homework. So first of all, in terms of the logistics of distribution of the notes, you should have known that you needed more than the time that you were allotting. And the notes simply didn't even become available until just a week ago, and they were claiming that they had issued, some trillions of naira to the commercial banks, but we were not seeing it on the streets, so what happened there? Where's their role as intelligence gathering, monitoring of implementation of policies and all of that?
I think it was the Minister of Finance that said she was not even aware, of what is going on concerning the naira redesign and all of that, and then it came forth. But the average people, like a presidential candidate of APC was saying this morning that they should pity the people selling carrots, the corn sellers, the lower class, that they will suffer from this. But I think it's everybody.
It's everybody. And, sometimes the pain and the suffering is necessary for progress. So this corn seller, right, they need to open account. They can. It's, just use mobile money, for God's sake. Mary, I bought strawberries in traffic yesterday. I paid with transfer. Malam. Because I just told him, I don't have cash on me. Like, can you take transfer? He said, yes, Oga. And I paid.
But that transfer.
In traffic.
I know, but that transfer sometimes, like...
No, I know.
On Saturday, I went to do transfer. I had to spend hours with the coach that she will not release me until she sees her life.
In fact, on Saturday as well, I tried to buy gas. They debited me 4 times. I ended up losing 40,000 in my account to pay for a 10,000 naira transaction, and then the reversals eventually happened the following day. So imagine if that 40,000 was all I had in my account, I would have been stranded. So yes, we know that these things do have problems, but we don't have a choice. It's the only way to go if we're to make progress, if we're to accelerate economic transactions and all of that. It's the only way to go.
There's a way it would have been done seamlessly. We do. Most times we say we don't have a choice, but there's supposed to be a choice for us.
I agree. It could have been done better. It should have been done better.
It should have been done. So should we say we are happy that it's been extended?
Yeah, it was necessary. I mean, like I said earlier, the economy would have collapsed. So they really didn't have a choice. Extending by 2 weeks is good, because I think they've also put some policies in place to ensure that the new notes are available in the rural area. So the cash swap program, it's a good thing. Will it be enough? Will there be enough people with the new notes at the end of this extension? No. but at least things will not grind to a halt. But the economy will still suffer a bit. Transactions will become a bit impeded.
Before we go into another topic, how do you think the international organization will see us as a country, Nigeria, with all of this quagmire of extension, withdrawal limit, no withdrawal limit, deadline, no extension? What is our image globally?
It's unfortunate, it's sad because in any case, nobody really takes us seriously. People that, just bear in mind that people that come to Nigeria to do business are usually people that have a high appetite for risk, high risk appetite, so the international community knows how, disorganized we are, and this is not new. It's not news. Again, like I said,
the CBN is not, when you say how disorganized we are,
it's the truth. We, the Nigerian society, where impunity is the name of the game. Policy implementation is always haphazard. There's no direction. You have two government agencies running in the same sector, and they are issuing two conflicting policies at the same time. It happens a lot in Nigeria. So, and unfortunately, it does affect investment flows into the country. It really, when we say FDI has been declining progressively in the last 10 years, this is part of the reason. This thing that CBN is doing is part of the reason, because it will kill confidence, of international investors in the local economy.
Now to another news making the rounds in business, we have this: Nigerians turn to Naija used cars as Tokunbo car prices surge. Now, many Nigerians said the current hike in the price of imported vehicles, popularly known as Tokunbo, has affected the desire to own cars. Now, if you want to buy a Tokunbo car, which is second-hand used, right? It's the price. It's up. So now people are turning to Naija used, which is third-hand, right? So this is disturbing, because the level we are as Nigerians, we should be making our own cars or assembling our own cars or something. But this is the case. So Nigerians are turning to third used cars. When you bring in these cars, you use them. I know the cars you use on our Nigerian roads, you know what happens to them. So
exactly.
That is what is going on. But my question is this: what can be done about this? Although the customer has said that they shouldn't blame them, that it's not because of they close the borders, that is because of the exchange rates, that they are not the ones to blame here. What do you think?
There are two factors at play. There's the exchange rate, which has obviously, a lot of these transactions get done based on parallel market rates. Parallel market rates has depreciated by almost 100% in the last year. I mean, that's crazy. 100% decline. We started 2022 at about 500 naira to the dollar. We ended 2022. During 2022, we hit 900 naira to the dollar.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, that's how bad it is, So, yes, there's that. And then there's also the duty, the duties. If you want to bring in, a Tokunbo car, in quotes, you end up, depending on what type of car it is, but for most cars, you end up paying just about 100% of the value of the car itself as duty, as duty payments. So, obviously, the government, again, is trying to encourage local production, discourage imports and all that. But then there are no policies to drive the local, automotive production sector. We have local producers, but how is government helping them? These things can't be done by just businessmen alone. It can't be done by private funds alone. Government must be very strong to drive, development in that sector. They're not doing enough.
You're just answering the next question. From the Punch newspaper, it says, imported goods killing local production, says the presidency. Now, the Nigerian consumers should change their mindset and patronize locally produced goods, especially in the agricultural sector, to boost revenue and job creation. Now, the special advisor to the president, Muhammadu Buhari, on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, has said, was speaking on a one-day seminar with the team reorientation towards ensuring preference and consumption of domestic agro-allied products. Now, that is what he said. The question is this: do you think that the people lack of belief how do I phrase it? The people believe lack of value of what is indigenous to us is the problem. I mean, do you think the people are the problem? Do you think we are the problem? We lack belief in our own products, because that is what he is trying to say.
It's a philosophical question you ask, and people have differing views. Usually, just there's a dichotomy of opinion on this. Some people just believe that, look, whatever is going on in the society is the people that are responsible, because the leaders come from the people. But then I have always said, and I hold, and I insist, and I continue to insist, that you can never blame a people for how they behave. It's society. The reason society needs governance, the reason you can't just have an estate that has 300 flats, for example, not have executives to drive the affairs of that estate, is that human beings in society needs to be driven towards order. If you leave everybody to just do what they want to do, then there'll be disorder. So this issue of promoting local products, consumption of local products, look, the way life works is that people will always look out for their own interests. It's just the way things run. If I want to buy a shirt, and I know that if I buy a locally produced shirt, it will give me the quality I need, it will last for as long as I need it, it will look as good as I want it to look, I will buy local instead of buying foreign. If you don't have local alternatives that are as good as the foreign alternatives, people will buy the foreign alternatives. It's just a very simple thing. So instead of blaming the people and saying buy local, the government needs to ensure that the policy framework, the regulatory framework, the enabling environment that we always like to see is in place so that Nigerians can produce quality. If we produce quality, Nigerians will buy Nigerian products. There is no doubt in my mind about that. Nigerians love Nigeria, but I won't love Nigeria to the detriment of my personal interests. So if I want to buy, for example, let's say a gas cooker, right? I'm going to be using this thing in my house. I know it's a dangerous equipment if anything goes wrong. Am I going to buy one that was assembled in Nigeria in a very low quality environment where people cut corners, or am I going to buy one that I know that the standards and quality controls in those societies are so strong that quality tests, quality assurance has happened, and therefore I am safer? Which one will I buy? So it's simple. Government should stop blaming the people. It is the duty of government to regulate and organize society. So drive us towards local products. Promote. I know that radio stations, TV stations, you don't like name mention. So I'm not going to mention their name. There is a local producer of cars and trucks and SUVs in this country, in the East. What is government doing to ensure that those products receive patronage, even from government, such that as they get patronized and the quality standards from places like SON and all of that is driving them towards better quality, more Nigerians have confidence and can buy them instead of going to buy Tokubo.
There is another argument. Some people will say that if Nigerians patronize the product, we buy it, we're giving Nigerians more money. We're giving those manufacturers more money.
Absolutely.
So if we don't patronize them, that is our own. If we don't patronize those things, we won't have enough money in the manufacturing sector to make better products.
I agree now. But
and so is that we should
look, Mary,
that
local rice, foreign rice. You are a woman. I don't know whether you've cooked with both. You know the difference. The foreign rice cooks well and stays apart. I can cook it to the softness level I want. I can keep it hard. Most of the local brands, they mash. They become tuwo when you cook them. I don't know if you know what tuwo is in Hausa. It's almost like a paste. So why? Please tell me why I will, because I want to keep money in Nigeria and I want Nigeria to make progress and I want to buy Nigerian. I will now eat. I will feed my family with something that is that bad. Someone. It's simple.
Well, we had a discussion some time ago, and one said that your mother's food is always the sweetest.
I see.
Why can't that be the case for Nigerians?
Life doesn't work that way.
Your mother's food. Will you say your mother's food is not the sweetest? So this is what we have.
The truth is the truth.
If we yes, we are one Nigeria. Yes, we will stick to what we have.
Yeah.
We will have the money.
We could do it. We could do it. So, like, government can decide, for example, and some countries have done it and it's worked for them. They can close the borders completely. like just shut everything down and go to a closed economy. China did it at a point, but of course, China has the population to sustain a policy like that. 1 billion human beings as at that time. Does Nigeria have the population and the governance will and sincerity to pull off those types of things? Absolutely not. We saw what happened with the border closure, 2 years ago. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is it is the duty of government to regulate. It is the duty of government to promote. It is the duty of government to incentivize private money to enable investors create quality. If you do not do that, you can ask Nigerians and blame them as much as you want. It will not happen. It will not happen. It's not magic.
Interesting. Now to another conversation here. We have about two, but because of time, we just take one. So CBN raises monetary policy rate to 17.5%. Now, in its effort to restrain inflation through monetary tightening, the CBN has further raised the monetary policy rate, MPR, by 100 basis points to 17.5% from 16.5%. Now, how will this interest rate now impact consumers and SMEs?
I think the first thing I need to say about this is I'm saying this to the CBN. Somebody from the CBN will be listening to this program.
Yes, amen.
This far and no more. They need to understand this. You cannot raise this rate further. The factors that are driving the inflationary trends in Nigeria is beyond monetary policy. It's not just about too much money chasing too few goods, as they taught us in secondary school economics. That's not what's driving our inflation. There are cost push factors, logistics costs, international logistics costs, local logistic costs, insecurity that is preventing farmers from going to the farm. The factors are so multivarious that you cannot be addressing it by simply increasing monetary policy rate, which has a downside. The downsides of increasing MPR far outweigh the possibility that it could rein in inflation. And what are the downsides? Just like you said, what's the impact of this on consumption, on consumers?
Yes, and small business owners.
Invariably, what this means is that you are crowding them out of the credit markets. They cannot have access to loans because they're too expensive. And then the ones that can afford it will take it and pass the cost to the consuming markets. So you will drive this same inflation you think you're actually trying to control. Invariably, you may actually encourage it further up at the risk of curtailing growth. So, for example, since the CBN has started this continued 5 consecutive increases last year, GDP growth rate has slowed down. We recorded 3.45% GDP growth for the Q2, second quarter of 2022. Yeah. It came down to 2.45 to 2.4, something like that. For Q3, it will be interesting to see where we are for Q4, right? I am suspecting that it will go further down, probably below 2%. So the CBN is killing growth. They need to slow down and coordinate their policy making efforts, their monetary policy making efforts with the fiscal policy side of things, the Ministry of Finance, and with other government policy initiatives, that will, so you have a robust policy framework that will address the problem holistically. Continuing to raise NPR is potentially very dangerous for the economy.
The CBN has been in the news lately, from one policy to the other. Absolutely. To withdraw, so prominent, but
including stamp duties.
Yes, and its efforts, is it commensurate, as in the outcome of all of this CBN that every day? Is it? Are we making progress with all of this policy?
It's all uncoordinated. I mean, that's the problem. It will be good to see.
And it starts from the leadership of the CBN and Emefiele.
Absolutely, and I even think it starts from the leadership of the country, because at the end of the day, Emefiele reports to someone. The buck stops somewhere. So what you are seeing in the CBN is simply a reflection of what is happening
in the presidency
up there. So I think that's the starting point. Yeah. Mr. Emefiele is, he shouldn't still be in office. In a normal country, he should have been asked quietly, respectfully to leave. No hard feelings. You want to be president, go and be president. You can't be a CBN governor. So let's start from there and then run down through all the policy making, initiatives that they've had. Right from inception of this administration, the CBN has really not covered itself in glory.
Now, before we go, we have less than a minute. Jos residents resort to charcoal as gas price soar. Now, people are resorting to charcoal because of the price of gas.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
We'll cook with firewood at the rate we're going.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, we'll cook with firewood because, fuel is expensive, so you can't run your generator. Gas is now...
It's expensive.
Gas that we used to buy at 3,000 naira at the beginning of last year is 10,000 naira now. So, and you are trying to use monetary policy rate to fix inflation. What has monetary policy rate got to do with the fact that something as critical a component of my costs as an individual has grown by 300% in 1 year, and you are increasing monetary policy rate? So, so people will use charcoal, people use firewood, and and whatever else they can find, because life must go on.
We come against that. We are a praying nation.
Amen.
We come against it.
We pray a lot.
we pray and do little work. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking with you. It's always a pleasure. We've been talking with the principal partner, Woodridge and Scott Consulting. He's a business analyst and he's right here in the studio with me talking business. It's Mr. Segun Shokbita. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again for another insightful conversation.
Thanks for having me, Mary. Good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah, good morning. So do not go anywhere. Keep it here. The conversation continues. Our next segment is how I make money. We're going to be talking with an entrepreneur. She's going to tell us how she makes money. Keep it here because you